Alright, this video is going to be crazy. We are going to go through together how exactly you can build a strong mindset. So if you don't know me already, my name is Andrew Lapa. I'm 17 years old. I used to be unconfident. I didn't believe in my dreams. To fast forward to today, after I've been into self-improvement for around 2 years, I've built, I would say, a pretty strong mindset. When I say I'm going to actually do something and I actually want to do the work to do that thing, I will do that thing. 100% know I will achieve it as long as it's in my control. And I want you to have that same mindset because I think we need more people with this mindset, with this self-confidence that they actually believe they can achieve their dreams. So I don't know how long this video is going to be, but it is going to have a lot of value in it. So I would suggest you grab a piece of paper, maybe a notepad, maybe a journal, whatever it is. But ladies and gentlemen, let's figure out how to build a strong mindset. So I think the first thing we should do is we should figure out what exactly is a strong mindset. So let's think of just a person with a strong mindset. All right, strong. I'll put improvement mindset. I just call it the improvement mindset, but it's kind of a growth mindset as well, I guess you could say. So what are the things that come to mind when you think of this person? You know, we all know someone who's just like pretty confident in themselves, and you're just kind of like, oh, I wish I could be like them. Like, how can they just be, they always seem like so chill with things. They're just like always enjoying stuff, right? So what do they have? Well, I think the first thing that we could probably agree with is they don't take, how do I say this? What people think of them seriously. Now, that doesn't mean they don't listen to people, but they just know that if the person is giving advice and they're not really qualified to give advice, why would they listen to them, right? So someone who's confident doesn't just listen to anyone just because, all right? Um, Maybe the person who's giving you advice is older. Does that mean that you should be listening to the advice? No. You listen to a person's advice if they have experience in that thing. That's my personal opinion, but I think that makes quite a bit of sense. So, what's another thing? They have strong confidence, self-confidence. They believe in themselves a lot. People with strong improvement mindset, what do they have as well? They're willing to change. They're willing to change if needed, if it's going to make them better, and if they realize that it's going to make them better. Of course, there's probably so many other things that come to mind when you think of someone with strong improvement mindset. I can't think of all of them right now. They're probably they probably step out of their comfort zone or are willing to a lot. But yeah, okay. So that's basically a person with a strong improvement mindset or growth mindset, whatever you want to call it. So basically, if that's what it is, and if we want to build a strong mindset, then all we have to do is figure out how to do these things over here, right? So let's break it down. They don't take what people think of them seriously. So again, let's think about this. I'm gonna go ahead and go like this and just copy this here. Perfect. Now let's start thinking about this. What I was just talking about before is when people give you advice, you can't just listen. That sounded weird. You can't just always listen, all right? You have to see if they're qualified, all right? They have to be qualified to give you advice. They have to have the experience, right? So, you know, if I just started talking to you about how to learn uh, coding in 30 days and I tried to sell you a course, you know, I'd be scamming you because I don't know how to code. Actually I do know like a little bit, but I learned that like when I was 14 or something. So that would be kind of a scam, right? If you were younger than me and you were just listening to me because I'm older than you, you know, that's the wrong mindset. You would have to ask me, okay, what's your coding experience? Send me some websites that you've actually coded, like you haven't built on like some platform. You get the point that I'm saying, okay? Make sure the person is qualified to give you advice. So that's the first thing of, I think, someone with a strong improvement mindset is, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they don't take advice. They actually do. In fact, they know that it's essential to take advice, but you have to take advice from people who have been there and done that, who are a step above you, not in a bad way, but like in a way of you want to get where they are, right? So, you know, I've been on, I'm not that good with YouTube, don't get me wrong. So if someone came to me telling me something I should do with my YouTube channel, um, and they had like 3,000 subscribers or something, and they're like steadily growing, then I'd probably listen, right? Because I'm like, well, they have more than me. Doesn't matter whether or not 3,000 subscribers is super big or not. It's just they're a step above me, right? Or if someone came to me and they had like 5 subscribers and they posted a video like 9 months ago and they're telling me what to do. I'm like, no, you show me that you can do that. You show me that it works first, right? Um, so yeah, basically, that's one of the most important things I think is it's not about not taking advice. It's just about taking advice from the right people. Because, and I guess where I want to go with this is another thing that I should have added in here is people with a strong mindset, people with a growth mindset, they surround themselves with specific people. And this relates to the advice, right? They want to be around people who are going to improve themselves, all right? People that can help them, but they can also help, all right? So actually, I don't really want to go that much more into that point. I think you get the point. I can always make a more specific video on this thing, but they surround themselves with specific people. So I'll just put that in this column here because, yeah. All right, that's the first thing. Now, the next one is, what do we have? The next part was they have strong confidence. They have strong confidence. So how do you build strong confidence? Well, I think there's a few ways. I think one is experience, stepping out of your comfort zone. I think those are two ways that you can definitely build confidence. Figuring out your uh, value. I don't agree with the message that like, oh, everyone's unique and special, but I do think that everyone has some sort of value. Um, and it's probably the same as a bunch of other people. Like you probably, that sounds so mean, but no, it's true. Okay, you're probably not that special. There's probably someone else, 8 billion people who's very similar to you, who does similar things, maybe even the same things, right? But does that mean you have no value? No, absolutely not. So you need to understand that you still have value. And I think that's one of the main things. You need to figure out what your value is, what you add to society, I guess. So, I don't know, something like that. But that just makes you more confident when you know your opinions, you just know yourself more. That sounds a little touchy, feely, cringy, but like literally, but if you know yourself, then you will be pretty confident in yourself because you'll know what you enjoy, you'll know what you don't enjoy, you'll know what you want to do in your life, and you'll know what you will probably regret if you don't do in your life, right? So it'll just make you more confident in your decisions and in your everyday life. That's what I think. What's another thing? They're willing to change if needed. They're willing to change. So how do we do this? Well, there's some similar things, all right? They're willing to change. You have to step out of your comfort zone for that. I think one of the main things though is realizing the benefits of changing if there are benefits, all right? So I think you have to get good at analyzing. How do I spell analyzing? Why do I always forget this? It's a Y, right? Analyze. That's kind of embarrassing. Okay, get good at analyzing if you need to change something. So more like reflection. When it comes to decisions, you know, actually analyze the pros and cons and stuff. All right. But you have to be willing to change. That's the thing. Some people I feel like they do the pros and cons, and even though there's so much more pros, they just don't want to change because they're just tied to their old ideas or something, right? But you have to change. If it's better for you, if you want to build a strong mindset, if you want to have the improvement mindset, then you have to keep improving. What do I say at the end of all of my videos? You're capable, keep improving. You have to change to improve. You will have to change to improve. Because if someone says, "Oh, I don't need to improve. I've improved as much as I ever could," you can tell they can improve just because they said that. There's no such thing as there's no limit. You can always keep improving, right? And the only way to improve is by changing, and so you have to be willing to change. So get good at figuring out what changes will make you better, right? All right, what's another thing? Step out of their comfort zone. That is kind of covered in here. It's kind of the same thing. You have to try new things, and especially if you can analyze that that thing is beneficial, then do it. The more nervous you are about something, the more fearful you are at a certain decision, it probably means you should do it. Like, it's not all the time, I'm not saying all the time, but usually when in doubt, do it. Because otherwise you're going to regret it. So, or regret not doing it. All right. And then last here, they surround themselves with specific people, right? Now, this is a really important one. You have to find out what you want in your life, all right? Figure out your values and what you stand for, stuff like that. Because once you do, once you understand yourself more, then find people with similar or the same values that will help or push you, all right? This is really important. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That's the classic quote from Jim Rohn. And that doesn't just mean, like, that can mean so many things. That might be your family. That might be uh, some artists you listen to. That might be the people you watch online, right? It's who you spend the most time with. It's not who are you the closest to. You could say, oh, I'm the closest to my parents, or I'm the closest to my sister or something. Because, like, if you're still living at home, like, oh, I'm living with them, so I'm the closest to them. But no, it's like, who do you actually listen to the most? Maybe you listen to a certain rapper all day. That's fine. But what is that rapper saying? You know? And is that aligning with where you want to go or what you want to do? Um, so it's really important. You got to figure out if you're hanging around the right people, hanging around the right influences. And your parents always tell you this. But I feel like sometimes parents put this in the wrong way where it's more just like about, and okay, now I'm just speaking like as a teenager. So if there's someone here that's older or like not living with their parents, it doesn't apply to them. But whatever, like sometimes your parents will say those type of things as in like more, oh, you have to listen to us parents. But that's not necessarily the truth. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't listen to your parents. I'm just saying they count as the people you have to, analyze. Do you want to be like them? Do you want to, is that where you want to go? Are they doing the things you want to do? And this goes back to when people give advice, you can't just always listen. They have to be qualified to give you advice, all right? Um, now, an example, like, if if you're living at home or something, right, and your parents tell you not to do something in their house, and you're like, but I don't agree with that advice. Well, it's their house though, so they are qualified. Anyway, I'm yapping on about that now. But I don't know why I just started thinking of all of that. But yeah, these are all the different things basically. We covered all of them. So these are all things that you have to kind of figure out how to do and learn. All right. So how to have strong confidence? Well, you get that through experiences, stepping out of your comfort zone, figure out your value. Um, People, you have to realize that you can't always just listen to anyone's advice, they have to be qualified to give you advice. All right, you got to be careful what's actually going into your mind, because even if you're not, don't think that it changes you, it really does. You know, if you're listening to certain things, it will slowly change your mindset for good or for worse, right? You have to be willing to change, and the way you can do that is by stepping out of your comfort zone and just get good at analyzing if you need to actually change something for the better and do it. Actually take action. And then surround yourself with specific people that you actually need to be around. All right. You might have to change your friends. It's the honest truth. If you actually have some sort of dream, some sort of goal, and you realize that your best friends even are kind of holding you back from that, you have to change your friends. It doesn't mean you don't have to like them or not. It's just your best friend is influencing you a lot. So you just have to be careful, right? With that being said, those are basically all the things. That is how you build a strong mindset. Um, this looks a little bit confusing, but you can always rewatch this if you want. And with that being said, it looks like it's almost 19 minutes, which is decent. I was hoping it wouldn't take like an hour or something, so that's good. But yeah, with that being said, um, surround yourself with specific people if you're interested. I have a free self-improvement Discord server, so that's one way you can surround yourself with a few people who are trying to improve themselves. Of course, there's always other communities and stuff, but if you like my channel, join that community because it's the best self-improvement community out there. Or I'm trying to make it the best. Anyway, as always, I'll see you in the next one, hopefully. And as always, what? Okay, I think I'm talking too long because now I messed up my outro. Anyway, as always, you are capable. Keep improving. I'll see you in the next one.